federal government is shut down. It doesn't mean as much as you think it does, but bees what it bees. Like I said, got a busy show for you today. We are going to talk with Senator Cassidy about the shutdown. We are going to talk with Congresswoman Letlow about the shutdown. Got a whole slew of other topics to cover as well, because while the government shut down, we keep on rolling. Let's get right to it. Top stories and trending.
Number 5.
Zachary's proposing a salary increase for city leaders, saying the city's current pay falls behind other areas in the state. Quote, when you look at inflation, we look at a lot of costs and everything else. We've got to fix this regardless of who the chief, mayor, or council is. We're below a lot of the cities, said David McDavid. During last week's city council meeting, an ordinance was introduced that would increase the salaries of the mayor, the police chief, and the city council members significantly.
Number 4.
New national AP data released by the College Board shows Louisiana high school students are making significant progress. The share of AP exams where students have earned a score that qualifies for college credit has increased by 24.5% or percentage points since 2021, representing nearly 2/3 growth in 4 years. Over the past school year, the percentage of exams with a qualifying score increased by 11.2%.
Number 3.
Downtown Development District and a small business development center at LSU has got a big announcement. They're offering no-cost one-on-one consulting services for existing and prospective downtown businesses on Fridays. This is going to start this Friday, October 3rd. The SBDC will be at the DDD offices, or of course on Florida Street. They'll be down there from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m.
Number 2.
Southern University evacuated the John B. Cade Library due to a potential threat just before noon on Tuesday, marking the third time in just 1 month that parts of the campus were evacuated. University sent out the evacuation notice to students advising people stay away from the library until further notice. The all clear was given by 1:30.
Number 1.
Baton Rouge city leaders weighed in yesterday after Governor Jeff Landry requested National Guard be deployed in the city. Landry submitted a request for 1,000 Louisiana National Guardsmen to the U.S. Department of War on Monday night to address ongoing public safety concerns regarding high crime rates throughout the state. Guardsmen would be sent to Baton Rouge, New Orleans, and Shreveport. Mayor Edwards has said that, of course, we could use the help, but he does not know how it would be implemented.
Well, as you mentioned, the shutdown is here as the Senate failed to pass a spending bill last night.
Yeah, I mean, it's been, 8 whole years since we shut the government down?
Yeah.
8 whole years.
How's it feel? Did you wake up any differently?
Exactly the same. It's so much posturing. I don't know. You know what it reminds me of? Clemenza in The Godfather. Explaining to Michael how often, that every decade or so they got to go to the mattresses.
Yeah.
Every decade or so you got to get out the bad blood.
Boys will be boys.
Yeah, I understand.
Children will be children.
But it's like.
By the way,
yeah.
Who funds the National Guard?
Who funds the National Guard?
Like, if we get the National Guard, where does that money come from? Is that Army National Guard? Is that federal?
I'll find out because it's the Louisiana National Guard.
I know we're talking about that later, but I was wondering how and this is not me being me. This is just me asking a question because I know we're talking about the National Guard later in legally served. But does the shutdown affect deployment of National Guard troops to different states?
It's a good question.
Very good question. Well, a couple weeks ago, we had author Jeremy White on the show talking about his book, Inhumana. Well, that book has been named to its publisher's hot buzz list for October.
So since Jeremy came on talking about his book, his book's been blowing up everywhere. Like, everybody wants a piece of him now. Like, it's
very cool.
Yeah, very, very cool to shed light on really, really just like the book says, inhumana, very inhumane treatment. And every time you turn around, it's like somebody else is picking up on his book and running with it. So, man, it's awesome to see. Hopefully, when you get enough discussion going, you can see progress, and hopefully we can see that on healthcare.
Yes, absolutely.
Managed care.
It's great news.
Yep.
What's not great news is after 19 years of marriage, Nicole Kidman is filing for divorce from Keith Urban.
What?
Yeah. Yeah, man. Saw this yesterday, and was kind of taken back by it. But yeah, 19 years though. That's still pretty impressive, right?
Yeah, of course.
As a Hollywood couple,
I suppose.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's 19. Like, what happens after 19 years?
Right. That you can't work out already, right?
I don't know. And I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I'm sure it does happen.
For sure. Yeah.
But oftentimes when something like that happens, it's like real people with real people problems.
Yes.
You know? Oh.
Yeah.
Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban.
Yeah, it seems they've experienced marital difficulties and irreconcilable differences.
Irreconcilable differences.
Irreconcilable.
Isn't that just always the clever phrase?
She's made some movies.
Yeah.
Some really good movies.
Yeah.
I was not. Was that my?
I was waiting
my
for the
bad
rest
boy.
of it.
Some you'd probably watch with Eyes Wide Shut.
Eyes Wide Shut was the most naughty one she ever made, but she also made. I mean, she's made such wonderful movies as Days of Thunder.
Yeah.
Where she was the love interest of Cole Trickle.
But that's like 40 years ago.
Doesn't matter.
30
Doesn't matter.
Ago.
She's single.
All right.
Oh man. But yeah, nonetheless, they're
Well, that's always sad. All right, 611 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Before we take our first break of the morning, I want to remind you about the Baton Rouge Metro Airport. FlyBTR.com is their home base online. Going to remind you all football season long because they've created direct flights just for football season. If you're traveling to a Tiger game, if you're traveling to go see LSU play Vanderbilt, they've got you covered with a direct flight to Nashville. If you're traveling to Alabama, got you covered with a direct flight to Birmingham. Traveling to Oklahoma, well, they'll send you to Oklahoma City. You can catch catch LSU in person this year thanks to FlyBTR.com. Nonstop flights to help you cheer on the Tigers when they do hit the road. Never miss a moment. BTR has added these routes, and you can take advantage of them at FlyBTR.com. Quick break, come back. We'll talk a little LSU next.
yeah, man.
I have to make good a Vex from yesterday.
Okay. You'll be doing them in this segment?
Yeah.
It's October, guys.
It is.
You're going to blink and baby Jesus will be in the manger. It's going to be great.
That's the pink.
You're all heart. You're all heart, Brian Haldane.
Try.
I was checking the ink on my skin, man. I was like, do I have anything pink on me?
Do what?
I was checking the ink on my skin. I'm like, do I have anything pink on me?
What? Let me changing before Rotary because
I've decided that I'm going to let you and the Haldane family have a golf cart experience around the state of Louisiana.
okay.
We got to talk about that at some point.
I'm sure we'll squeeze it in. You are out for 650, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
All good.
Just tell Court TV what time it is. Haldane time.
614 to Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Talk 107.3 is your new home for Ken Trahan's original prep football report. Get live in-game updates, a full statewide scoreboard, and check-ins with correspondents from every corner of the state. Friday nights this fall from 6 to 11 p.m. It's Ken Trahan's original prep football report presented locally by Dr. Pepper and the Harold Perkins Jr. Tuition Program right here on Talk 107.3. Our news partners over at Louisiana Radio Network caught up with former LSU quarterback Rohan Davey, talking about LSU's offense as it has been a major issue so far this season. The Tigers only put up 254 yards of total offense against Ole Miss. Davey says, no one on the offensive side of the ball is on the same page, which is making it difficult to be effective.
Honestly, I just see disconnect. I see disconnect with play calling. I see disconnect with concentration of what kind of identity and where they want the offense to go, whether it's disconnect between BK and Coach Sloan, disconnect between Nuss and Coach Sloan, disconnect between all three. But there's just definitely disconnect. There's no cohesiveness.
Diagnosing the problem seems to be, or at least from the outside in, seems to be a lot harder than it's been with previous LSU teams. Obviously, not having a run game is a big part of it, but why don't we have a run game? Is it a lack of effort or a lack of willingness to try, or a lack of ability to do it? Meanwhile, bringing it back around to Nussmeier, he's not living up to the hype that he came into the season with. In fact, he's not living up to the potential of the past couple during the past couple weeks of the last season and into this season. Head coach Brian Kelly says Nussmeier's healthy. Davey thinks something's wrong with starting quarterback after seeing multiple uncharacteristic underthrows this season.
I do think something is wrong with him. I do think that. I don't know what it is for sure, but it has to do with something when opening up that cavity and having to release that football.
Look, and I know everybody's got their own opinion. I'm in the camp that if your pocket is tighter, you are going to change your delivery. It's just like in basketball. If you're going up against a larger post player, you're going to alter your shot. Well, if you don't have that comfort zone around you in the pocket to be able to step up and step into a throw, you're going to alter the way you deliver the football. And that's going to lead to a little more floating of the ball, a little, not quite as much zip, maybe having the ball get there just a half a second too late. At least that's where I'm starting. I don't know. Everybody's got their own take. The good news is LSU has a bye week to get it straight. Tigers not playing this weekend. We will have South Carolina coming up the following week. And if I'm not mistaken, did they announce the time on that game yet? Let me see real quick. Let me just do this in real time. The South Carolina game, I know it was – okay. Yeah, it's either going to be a 2:30 to 3:30 p.m. kickoff. This is the flex window. So, no, we still don't know. According to LSUsports.net, we still don't know when kickoff will be for South Carolina. But it will be the homecoming game, and it will be Saturday, October 11th. Meanwhile, Southern is back at it. I'll tell you about that in just a quick second. Do need to remind you about the folks over at Vex European. VexEuropean.com is your home base online in reality or in real life. They're over on Benefit Drive. That's the backside of Industriplex. Vex specializes in European vehicles. So if you drive a Mercedes or a BMW or a Jaguar or a Land Rover, if you drive an exotic vehicle or a Porsche, but if you drive like an exotic, like a Ferrari or an Aston Martin, something like that, they got you covered. They have certified expert-level technicians that work specifically on, if you've got a Mercedes, you got a Mercedes tech. That's why I use them. I have an 18-year-old vehicle, and they keep that bad boy humming because, master-level technician for Mercedes. Check them out online at VexEuropean.com. Vex European, V as in Vinny, VexEuropean.com. I said Southern was back at it this week. I think they might be off as well. I'm going to double-check that, but, yeah, no. I'm not seeing them on the SWAC schedule for this week. So, goodness gracious. A whole weekend of just open-ended football for us here in Baton Rouge. Yep, Southern will be up against Bethune-Cookman is that on the 11th as well? Yep. All right. Well, then I guess it's all eyes on the Saints and the Giants on Sunday then, which, by the way, might be the Saints' best chance to win all season long. All right, it's coming up on 620 at Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. We're going to take a quick break, check traffic, on the back end right after we check the Fox Business Report. When we come back, Attorney Franz Borghardt is in the house. Livingston Parish's sweethearts are back in the news. And it's going to bring up a lot of questions about privacy. It's going to bring up a lot of questions about, shall I say, decorum. We're going to dig in. We got Legally Served coming your way right after we check the Fox Business Report. And then, of course, traffic right here on Talk 107.3 FM. Don't forget, after Franz, Senator Cassidy in the 7 o'clock hour to talk about the shutdown.
Who's our Rotary topic today, or person today?
I believe it's Billy Nungesser.
Okay. Today on Court TV, I'm going to fit in as many Guns N' Roses lyrics as I can. What inspired this was I was at a 3rd and 4th grade football game Sunday, and at Central High, or the stadium for Central High. Really nice field, by the way. And they're blaring Guns N' Roses, Welcome to the Jungle, before the game. And nobody's.
That's always nice for a 4th grade game.
Yeah, and so, of course, I couldn't resist. I screamed as loud as I could, "You're in the jungle, baby."
You're going to die.
But yes, I did it in character.
Of course.
And none of the soccer moms, the kids looked embarrassed. It was just, in the moment, it felt right.
Do you know where you are? Yeah, I'm at a 4th grade football game.
Oh, they played worse than that. Have you been to a kid's sporting event lately? Some of the music they play? Yeah, you coach basketball.
Well, yeah.
It's not.
Oh.
I mean, if I'm a Motley Crue fan, somebody on the board is also a Motley Crue fan.
Someone on the board was like, who said that? They were stoked about it.
What's the cost of political advertising on radio?
It depends. I mean, it depends on the
Like-
station. Depends on
That's it. Then multiply that times how many total you want. I'm just gonna get a spot. Borghardt Law Firm. You're in the jungle, baby.
Hey, there you go. Then you can have that Looks to Kill. That song as the underbed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, the music bed is. Yeah. Like that.
The Dirt.
oh,
Have you watched that? I haven't watched it. Machine Gun Kelly plays, what is it, Tommy Lee? Dude, it's rough. It's rough.
Ain't nothing rough about it.
All right, let's head on back to the traffic center, see what we got cooking this morning. We're actually looking really, really good. The normal volume you normally see coming in from Livingston Parish about this time on 12 westbound is a lot lighter than usual. In fact, 12 westbound is looking a lot like 10 westbound. We are good to go on both fronts, moving into Baton Rouge all the way up to the 10-12 merge. I-10 making your way through the city is smooth sailing, as is 10 westbound coming in from West Baton Rouge. I-110, nothing to report there either. Surface streets, man, I am looking for something to tell you about, and there are no accidents on the surface streets either. So enjoy the drive to start the morning. Let's hope we can keep it that way. That's your look at traffic from the Talk 107.3 Traffic Center.
Love it. Till Brian gets it to be the new Legally Served music.
You always have a second segment, so
I like it. I like it.
rolling over to 624 at Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. We got Franz Borghardt coming up here in just a second. Senator Bill Cassidy at 7:15, 7:35. We had a news story yesterday about the narrowing down of the potential sites for a new Mississippi River Bridge. Rodney Mallet from DOTD is going to stop by or hop on the hotline at 7:35 to talk a little bit about where that's at and why we're in a hurry up and wait scenario. Right now, though, let's get you to Legally Served. Oh, Nards, what did I do?
I gotta tell you, I don't know how I feel about this one. I mean, I know what the law is on this. I don't know how I feel about it.
Okay. Good morning, Franz.
Good morning, people.
People?
People.
I'm Brian.
Brian.
Yes. Just skip right
You
past me.
people.
That's. What do you mean?
We're in a shutdown.
We are in a shutdown.
My McDonald's coffee tastes the same.
It does. It does. As does my community coffee from downstairs.
I like it.
That's good stuff.
I like it.
Yep. We got a couple different things to cover this morning, provided we get to all of them. I want to start in Livingston Parish if we could. Yeah. No, I'm going to start with this disclaimer. Parents, if there's kids in the room, it's not going to get full on adult, but
hide your cupcakes.
There will be some questionable, there will be some questionable topics, and just in reporting the news, there are times where things get a little bit out of pocket. So here we go. Lawyers for the state say that when a woman goes on trial a second time on first-degree rape and video voyeurism accusations, the public and the media should be kept out of the courtroom when the purported victim testifies. However, the defendant, Melanie Curtin, says that evidence jurors will see for the first time will unequivocally contradict testimony from the original trial and that the public is entitled to see her clear her name. The defense supports the courtroom being open to the public. This trial is too important to be closed at any point, defense lawyer Alex Laird said on Monday. By the way, as just a refresher, because it's been a minute, Curtin was arrested amid the high-profile investigation into former Livingston Parish Deputy Dennis Perkins. Perkins and his wife, Cynthia, were arrested in October of 2019, ultimately faced 150 counts alleging they raped 2 children and an adult, produced child pornography, and served school children baked goods contaminated with bodily fluid. This is where we're at now. Perkins, by the way, was sentenced to 100 years in prison after pleading guilty to a variety of charges. Cynthia Perkins sentenced to 41 years. Melanie Curtin was sentenced to a life term. So now we're coming back around, and she's saying she's about to clear her name. Let's fill these seats up in here. What say you, Franz Borghardt?
So we got the crossroads of a lot of different competing interests. We have the press's right to be the press, to be present.
Yeah.
We have the defendant's right to a fair and public trial. We don't do justice in secret around here.
Okay.
We don't do it that way in Livingston. We don't do it that way in Borghardt Parish. In the state of Louisiana, fair and public trial.
Okay.
And then lastly, we have the interest of the victims of any crime. I mean, I'm calling, and by the way, let me preface this. I call the individual the victim because that is a fact that needs to be proven at trial. The accuser, to some degree, has the right to not be shamed, not to be, put on trial herself, to not be basically publicly whatevered, in her effort to seek justice. However, out of those competing interests, who trumps? Well, the defendant does. Because they're the person who has the due process rights, the constitutional rights, while on trial.
Okay. Now, does the trial mean for the entirety of the trial? Like there's no point within the trial where you can dial it down, let's clear the room because we have sensitive testimony that could be altered in front of a crowd?
I think you have a better argument if you're the state of Louisiana, if it's a fragment, depending on the age of the victim. If it's a 7 or 8 year old who's testifying, that could be different. Yeah. But remember, we're also in a state that doesn't allow filming. So public trial is just that. People are sitting and watching.
Right.
The worst, sketch artists. But look, what the defendant is doing, by the way, what the defense attorney for the defendant is doing is telegraphing what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. Maybe a little victim shaming. Maybe a little putting the victim on trial. Something's going to be shown that's going to do what? Unequivocally show that his client is. What does that mean? I don't even know what that means. It ain't going to be good for the person on the stand. And by the way, testifying for those out there, testifying sucks. Being a witness sucks. And if you're the victim of a sexual assault, that sucks too.
Well, yeah. All right. Tell you what, we're due up for a break here. We got news coming up, news, traffic, weather. On the back end of the break, Attorney Franz Borghardt is going to be with us up until 6:50 this morning. So we're going to kind of open up and get a little more granular.
Granular.
Dig into this a little bit more because there are.
Peel back the layers of the cupcake.
Can't let go of that, can you?
I cannot.
No, I understand. We're going to dig in more on the back end of the break. Right now, here comes news on Talk. Well, I tell you what, yeah, here comes news on Talk 107.3 FM. I was going to squeeze in a promo there.
So, like,
and good morning, Christy.
If I'm on trial, I don't give a poop about protecting the person who's testifying against me, right? If I'm the victim of a sexual assault, I absolutely don't want the cost of me seeking justice and telling the truth on the stand to be, what do you call it when you just destroy someone on social media now? There's a term for that, right?
Like flaming them?
I don't know. Yeah.
Flame somebody? I don't know.
Making them famous. Backhoes.
According to records of the First Circuit, the excluded evidence included documentation of the purported victim pretending to be asleep during other alleged sexual encounters with Perkins and evidence of a video of the purported victim engaging in a sexual manner with others. Wait.
Pretending to be asleep? So, what?
Also, the appellate court said jurors should not have seen Curtin and Perkins engaging in a consensual sexual encounter because it was unrelated to the rape charge.
Can you imagine being a juror in that trial? Ugh. Like the puerile part of my personality is like, are they passing out popcorn? Like, this is so ridiculous. But it really would have been just horrendous, wouldn't it have? Like,
God, yeah.
I mean, you just
like
would have been
Caligula.
like, who are you people? Hans?
And Franz.
Nah.
Did you mention the Loomis truck driver getting robbed yesterday? At gunpoint on Segan?
No.
Yeah.
I didn't even see that one.
Yeah. That was yesterday. I was like, dang, dude. It's crazy. Yeah, Loomis truck driver.
Mom could have named me after Han Solo, but instead she went Franz.
Franz Solo?
It's just not the same. Han Solo. If your kid is named Hans, Hans, I don't care who he is. That kid is a winner in my book.
But
can he run the Kessel Run in 5 parts?
No. There's no S in Han.
Is it Han Solo or Hans?
Holy God. Yes. It's Han Solo.
Sorry?
Not Hans
Bring it down
Solo.
a little bit, though. I feel like there's more to this. Was there
No, it just...
That really gets under your skin, Barton and Noble.
It'd be like Luke's
Yeah.
Skywalker.
Yeah.
Luke Skywalker.
Luke's Skywalker.
Skywalker, yeah.
If my mom would have named me Han,
Yes, there you
it
go.
would have been so much cooler than Franz.
But yeah, it was Loomis truck on Segan. Got robbed at gunpoint.
I gotta find the article.
Yeah, man, I saw that yesterday. I'm like, oh crap! Right there, broad daylight on TV.
I don't think BRZ had anything on it.
Seguin Lane's gotten a little scary.
WAFB.
Seguin Lane's gotten a little scary.
Man,
I call
Seguin Lane is on its way back.
I call it Fury Road.
come on, man. It's not that bad. Come on, man.
Fury Road. I mean,
Fury, dang. Hey, have you? Speaking of Seguin, there's an amazing Mexican restaurant. I was telling Brian about this.
You're the second person to tell me this, and I'm like, I'm intrigued.
El Mege?
I've heard about it, but I have not yet been.
It's
There's actually apparently there's also a Korean barbecue place out there near Seguin.
Yeah.
But like authentic Mexican means probably not expensive.
No, and it's buffet style.
Oh, I mean,
shut it down.
I mean, is that closer to Perkins?
It's
because there used to be a Mexican buffet closer to Perkins.
Yeah, you come down off the like.
Oh,
if you're going,
I know. Oh, I've been there. They've
the
gotten
other
my
side of
buddy.
the other side of the overpass from St. George.
I've went like when I go there, I win.
Yeah.
But it's
dangerous.
It's a buffet.
It's buffet, yeah.
It's the smartest idea. Mexican buffet is the smartest idea ever.
It's not like Taco Bell Mexican food. It's legit. So it's man. Golly.
So anyway, the folks in St. George have been cleaning up Seguin Lane, like going out and I'm not going to say rounding up all the junkies, but
kind of homeless and junkies. Sometimes homeless junkies.
Homeless and junkie are two different things. The junkie
sometimes they're the same.
The junkie will go back to the Microtel Inn at the end of the day. The homeless.
You actually, if you can scratch $40 together, you can get a shower and a bed at like.
Yeah. .638 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Legally served with attorney Franz Borghardt. Continuing right now, talking about the retrial, if you will, of Melanie Curtin. Melanie Curtin, of course, was sentenced to life in prison connected to the Livingston Sweethearts, the Dennis and Cynthia Perkins. This started back in 2019. The trial continued all the way through the pandemic, or maybe picked back up after the pandemic. It is gross. It involves sexual assault. It involves rape. It involves children, and everything about it is terrible. Now, getting back into the article, Franz, we're going to dig in over here. According to records at the First Circuit, the excluded evidence, which I guess is what we're going to see this time around, right?
Mm-hmm.
The excluded evidence included documentation of a purported victim pretending to be asleep during other alleged sexual encounters with Perkins, and evidence of a video of the purported victim. Let me pause right here. Parents, I gave this warning 10 minutes ago. I know as the morning wears on, we're all getting ready for school and whatnot. Parents, give you fair warning. This is a graphic segment. Okay. Back to it. According to records at the First Circuit, the excluded evidence included documentation of the purported victim pretending to be asleep during other alleged sexual encounters with Perkins, and evidence of a video of the purported victim engaging in a sexual manner with others. Also, the appellate court said jurors should not have seen Curtin and Perkins engaging in a consensual sexual encounter because it was unrelated to the rape charge.
Right.
So
essentially a victim not being a victim.
Right.
That's the evidence.
Right.
That's a clean way of saying it.
Right. Well, you have all this evidence over here of actual crimes, and then just over here is random sex tape.
Right.
That's separate from it. So the state filed its motion to take part in the trial behind closed doors last week. But here's the quote from Liz Murrell. We're not asking for the trial to be closed. We have filed a motion asking that the courtroom be closed when the victim testifies to protect her. There are provisions in the law to protect vulnerable witnesses when they testify. We're asking that the same protections be applied to our victim.
I say this with a profound amount of respect for the Attorney General.
Uh-huh.
What she just said there is stupid. She's absolutely asking for the courtroom to be closed. And for the trial.
For this part, not for the entirety of the trial.
But you can't. It's a close.
You said it going into the break.
You don't get it both ways. If you want to put someone in jail for life, they get due process. The cost of our constitutional rights, our due process rights, the cost of putting someone in a human cage for the rest of their life to where they die in a pine box, I don't know where women inmates go, it's not Angola, is a jury that's of their peers in a public trial. I understand that this victim has rights, but here's the thing. I'm sorry, Liz. This is the law. I respect the motion, though. Let me say this. I respect the motion. And if I were her, I'd do the same thing. But the reality is she knows the law, and it has to be an open trial.
Why is there not a difference between the entirety of the trial and one individual witness?
Well, it's not just one individual witness. This is probably, arguably, the most important witness. This is the meat and potatoes of the trial, right?
Oh, yes.
This is not Bob who took pictures at the crime scene. This is not Tim who collected cupcakes. This is the most important witness.
Okay.
And you want to shut it down and not have...
Let me go back to the other, because there are other parts of this that seem like they would factor in.
Okay.
When you talk about the excluded evidence, included documentation of the purported victim pretending to be asleep, and during other alleged sexual encounters with Perkins, evidence of a video. So the video is going to be public in this, I'm assuming.
Okay.
If there was excluded evidence that included a video, that part would be public as well. The entirety of this trial is not based off of this one witness. She's a player, definitely one of the more important pieces on the chessboard, but it's not all of it.
When you point the finger at someone and say they did something that merits a life sentence in jail, when you accuse someone, and by the way, they're innocent until proven guilty, even though she got convicted the first time around. She gets a new trial, innocent until proven guilty. The cost of that accusation is the confrontation clause of the Constitution. We get to confront you. And that confrontation is not, by the way, we don't do justice behind the scenes in closed doors and closed rooms. It's in an open court. And look, again, I get, you make a sex tape, you don't want it played for everybody. I get that. Or you're on tape having sex. You don't want that played for everybody. There are better ways of handling that might not mean closing the courtroom down.
Hang on. I think it's a good time to stop and get a legal definition of what a closed courtroom is. Because there are who is allowed to be in a room in a closed courtroom?
If you have a juvenile matter, a non-trial by jury juvenile matter in the state of Louisiana, you close the courtroom. And the parents are entitled. The only individuals entitled to be in that courtroom are the parents, the parties, and the juvenile. Nobody else. No press, nobody else.
Where's the jury at?
We don't have juries in juvenile trials.
Okay.
It's all judge trials.
Oh,
That's a good question.
Then, okay, what does this qualify as? Because
this is a jury trial in the state of Louisiana in Livingston Parish.
So let me re-ask the question then. In a jury trial, in a closed courtroom...
You don't do closed courtrooms in jury trials.
That's what they're asking for here.
And we don't do that.
But what I'm saying is, if you have a closed courtroom and a jury trial, is the jury still in the room?
The jury is in the room. Now, what you can have, now to be clear, what we occasionally have is we may have a remote witness testifying.
Okay.
But that's not a closed courtroom. We occasionally have a sexual assault animal sitting next to the witness while testifying. That's not a closed courtroom. We have a lot of weird things in the justice system. What we don't have in adult jury trials with juries is we don't have quote unquote closed courtrooms where we don't let the parties, the families. And by the way, it's not just the press. It's you and me too. John Q. Taxpayer or Susie Q. Taxpayer has the right to walk in and watch this public trial. As a member of the community of Livingston, you have the right to go watch. and watch how justice is administered in your community. It's not just for the defendant. It's not just for the victim. When I say it's a crossroads of rights, it is a crossroads of rights.
All right, let me get a little TV on you here, okay?
Please do.
Let's go to like an episode of Law and Order, okay?
Dun, dun.
Yeah. All right. So you've got a judge in a courtroom banging his gavel, yelling, "Order, order, order," and then you're like, "I'll clear the whole room." Like that. Is that not a real? Is that not reality?
People who are disruptive in a courtroom can be kicked out.
Can
clearing the whole courtroom again. The problem we have in the state of Louisiana, and it's a good problem, is our trials are not filmed. In many states, our trials are filmed. And by the way, this doesn't solve the problem for the victim, but I'm telling you the issue.
Yep.
If you film the trial and you're playing a piece of evidence that is sensitive, you can move the camera away from the piece of evidence that's sensitive, right? And in that respect, you're making a grimace face. But I mean, there are things you can do to sensitize the nature of the evidence. In a public trial where a child witness or child victim is testifying in an adult trial and it's on film, you don't film the kid. You listen to the audio, all that stuff. You don't shut the entire courtroom down. Our law doesn't allow that. She's asking for something. And by the way, this is an administration that could easily get that turned into law. It probably wouldn't pass constitutional muster, but that's not what the law allows. The law doesn't allow you to, quote unquote, shut down portions of the trial from the public. That doesn't happen. It's not a thing. And if I sound frustrated, I have no, look, Franz Borghardt's not dancing in this trial. I've not been paid by the defendant. I'm not a special prosecutor. I have no dog in this hunt. However, I think it's a very slippery slope when you're like, hey,
that's where I want to go. Good. You're getting there. You're getting there.
We're going to do this one off to the side and not show you this is the Wizard, the Oz one. But this one over here you can watch. It's a car burglary. Or this one over here, it's a murder, and we're going to watch that one. And then who do you start deciding of the victims, the surviving victims of these crimes? Who do you start deciding who gets the closed protection versus the non-closed protection?
The players involved in the trial remain in the courtroom. That's the point.
Everybody
You're eliminating the peanut gallery. The way that I read this, that's the way.
The peanut gallery has a constitutional right to be there too. If you're the press, you legitimately have a straight-faced argument about, wait, what? You're not letting me in? Think about that. And I'm not being hyperbolic on this. I got no love for the I love you. I love you as the media. But if I'm not on WAFB or WBRZ ever again, I'm not losing any sleep. But they have a constitutional right to be in that room. I think it's the First Amendment.
It is the First Amendment. And
it's a slippery slope.
And
it sucks for the victim. Let me say this very clear. This is the number one reason, if you ever wonder why rape cases don't make it to the finish line, why we make arrests for rape cases, and you're like, why wasn't that ever a trial? Why was that a plea? It's because of what we're talking about. When the rubber meets the road, the accuser, if they're telling the truth, if they're not telling the truth, they have to face the traumatic reality of a trial where they have to get on the witness stand. But that's the price of liberty. That is what the cost of convicting somebody is, hey, if you want to lift that heavy weight, they have to get on the stand in a public forum and do that.
Here's where I keep getting stuck, and we only got like a minute and a half left. Is this woman's already going to jail for a life sentence?
She was. She's not now.
This witness...
She needs to cut a deal, by the way.
This witness allegedly has information that will exonerate the life sentence, right? It'll undo that.
Correct.
What Attorney General Liz Murrill is asking for is a way to get this witness on the stand to where you're going to lose that conviction. Hey, if the witness doesn't want to testify in front of a full-on courtroom, then all of the evidence remains the same as when Ms. Curtin was first sentenced.
So here's the kicker, and we have not talked about this, and I hate to let the
I know, we literally have 1 minute to go.
In a sexual assault trial, the state of Louisiana doesn't have to put the victim on to get their statements in. Now, they can be subpoenaed.
There's multiple victims here, though.
The defense can subpoena the victims. Mm-hmm. But, in a sexual assault trial, and maybe this is another topic for another day. Did you know, fun fact, it is an exception to the hearsay rule. A sexual assault victim, her CAC video or her interview with the detectives gets to come in. Love you guys.
We'll see, Franz. Love you too. Coming up on 650 at Talk 107.3 FM. By the way, a decision on this isn't until October 27th, so get ready for a round 2 in the very near future. Right now, we got to hit up your money now on Talk 107.3 FM. When we come back, National Guard. Are they coming to town? What will it look like? Whew, there's a lot to unpack, and we'll dive in next. This is the part that I can't get past. Is what Liz is asking for is going to ultimately hurt her prosecutorial batting average. I'm thinking about making tomorrow 3 or 4 interviews about bringing in the National Guard.
Really?
Yeah. What would it look like? What do they have the power to do? What does Hill or Moore have to say?
Just to kind of clarify some misunderstandings.
Yeah.
On what
Yeah.
what that would
I
look
had
like.
a couple of off the record conversations yesterday with folks that are pissed.
Yeah.
Why Shreveport, New Orleans, and Baton Rouge? When, according to the data, Monroe should be the first one to get them.
Mm. Really, Monroe's getting they're bad like that.
So this comes from the top 10 most dangerous cities in Louisiana 2025 update. It was updated in May of this year. Okay. Riolink.com is the original website. Ever wondered which places in Louisiana you should think twice about after dark? Louisiana's famous for its jazz food, blah, 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 blah. How likely are you to be a victim of a dangerous crime in each of the cities in Louisiana? Is Louisiana dangerous? State of Louisiana reports 548 violent incidents with 2,630 property incidents among its 100,000 population in 2025. Each year, Anyway, sorry, I got distracted by that. Based off of dangerous crimes or violent crimes per 100,000 residents, the number one city in Louisiana, but this is cities with a population of 5,000 or more. The number one city, the most dangerous city, is Marksville. But I don't. You have fewer than 100,000 people.
Yeah.
So you're extrapolating numbers based off of like Marksville's population. You lose one homicide over the course of a year, and you drop from number 1 to number 8.
Yeah, you're right.
So Monroe's number 2, though, but Monroe's a real city.
Yeah.
.656 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. 7:15 Senator Bill Cassidy is going to be by talking about the shutdown, the governmental shutdown. As of midnight last night, 11 o'clock our time, an agreement could not be reached. A spending bill could not be passed. And we just straight up ran out of money. I didn't even run out of money. We ran out of the will to hand over that money, I guess. But nonetheless, we are amidst a federal government shutdown right now. Senator Cassidy at 7:15. We talk about a new Mississippi River Bridge with Rodney Mallet at 7:35. Leah Long from the National Federation for Independent Business hopping on board at 8:05. Let's get a little preview of the fourth quarter from a small business perspective, but also want to talk about that trickle-down economics aspect when it comes to when you have a federal shutdown, how long is it before small business feels the pinch? LSU Alumni Association stopping by at 8:15, and then 8:35, Congresswoman Julia Letlow, little D.C. Current presented by LABI. We will get her take on the shutdown as well. Right now, though, I'm going to dive right back in and talk about the potential of bringing the National Guard to town. This is going to be a topic. In fact, it's going to be a pretty major topic on the show tomorrow as well. Governor Landry says 1,000 Louisiana National Guard troops need to be deployed to urban centers throughout the state because of elevated crime rates in Shreveport, Baton Rouge, and New Orleans. But our news partners at Louisiana Radio Network spoke with crime analyst Jeff Asher, who says those rates are actually declining right now.
It's a very strange time to be doing this, and it's, in my opinion, a strange step considering you're not bringing in law enforcement resources, you're bringing in non-law enforcement trained soldiers to solve something which is a very civil matter.
Not solve, assist, and I think that's where the conversation is going sideways along the way. I also think that there's this misconception that, like, it's going to be completely militarized. So I don't know what it's going to look like. I don't think any of us actually do yet. And if you're spreading 1,000 out over the course of 3 cities, those numbers are going to drop significantly. I don't know how many of them would come to Baton Rouge. But it's until we know what it's going to look like, I think everybody's making a lot of presumptions. I want to know what it looked like in Washington, D.C. Like, boots on the ground, what did it look like in Washington, D.C.? And they weren't there that long. And crime rates were already on the way down in D.C. at the time. And apparently everybody just feels a lot safer now. And I think that's a big part of this as well, is the difference between being safe and feeling safe. If you can get us to the point where we feel safe to go along with our being safe, and oh, by the way, we're safer in Baton Rouge than you would be in Shreveport. We're safer in Baton Rouge than you would be in New Orleans. We're actually safer in Baton Rouge than you would be in Monroe, Louisiana, which surprisingly is not on the list. And I say surprisingly because the violent crime rate in Monroe is, and this is per 100,000 residents, the violent crime rate in Monroe reaches 2,104 incidents per 100,000 residents. Property crime, that's just over 6,000 per 100,000 residents. Now, you got to divide down because of the actual population. But if you're basing it off of a per 100,000 residents, a per capita ranking, Monroe is a heck of a lot more dangerous as of right now than Baton Rouge is. That 2,104 in Monroe, here in Baton Rouge, the number's 1,004 per 100,000 residents. So side by side, while we don't necessarily feel safe, we are safer than we feel. Back to the news story with Jeff Asher. Back in 2022, New Orleans had the nation's highest murder rate. Number of homicides this year are the lowest they've been since. Well, I don't know if this is right because I don't think they're going to beat 2019. But the numbers have ticked down over the last couple of years in New Orleans.
Carjackings relative to 2022 are down 80%. Shootings are down 63% this year. Auto thefts are down 67% from their peak in 2023.
I just want a better look at what this is, or a closer look at how this is going to play itself out, what it's going to physically look like before I have any kind of overreaction to it. Here comes News Hour 2's next. Found it. Okay. WBRZ did have it. Yep. Mm-hmm. Rolling over to 7:05 at Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. We're starting off the second hour at 68 degrees in downtown Baton Rouge. Appreciate Franz Borghardt for stopping by as he did last hour. That'll be available on demand at talk1073.com if you missed it. Really good conversation about can you close down a courtroom for one witness within a trial? And that conversation is not going away because the decision on that's not coming until October 27th. So we may have to revisit it because as we got towards the end of the conversation, all new layers opened up. So always appreciate Franz. Coming up 10 minutes from right now, Senator Bill Cassidy. We got to talk about the shutdown, y'all. Federal government's closed for business. What does that mean? What does that look like on a day-to-day basis? How long is it going to last? What is really at issue here? We talked with Congressman Troy Carter about this yesterday. You know what? Let me pause. I'm sorry. I was about to go down a whole topic when we got the senator coming up in the next segment. We'll do that there. Right now, it's time for Top Stories and Trending.
Number 5.
A truck servicing an ATM at the Campus Federal along Segan Lane was robbed at gunpoint yesterday, right around noon. Credit Union said the robbery happened in a drive-through lane outside the building. This is Segan near Cloverland. East Baton Rouge Sheriff's Office said the delivery driver had just unloaded money from the ATM. He was closing it back up. Two men with guns came rolling up, demanded the cash. The driver dropped the bag of money. Gunman picked it up, took it off in an unknown vehicle. No shots were fired. No members nor employees were harmed during the altercation. This is a good time to promote Crime Stoppers. 344-STOP is the phone number. 344-STOP. If you saw anything, if you were out around Segan Lane at all yesterday around lunchtime, somebody zipping through traffic too quick, whatever the case might be, if you've got any piece of information at all, 344-STOP for Crime Stoppers.
Number 4.
New national AP data, advanced placement data, released by the College Board, shows Louisiana high school students are making significant progress. The share of AP exams where students have earned a score that qualifies for college credit has increased by 24.5 percentage points since 2021, representing nearly two-thirds growth in 4 years. Now, over the past school year, the percentage of exams with a qualifying score increased by 11.2%. So that was a big chunk in and of itself.
Number 3.
Downtown Development District, along with the Small Business Development Center at LSU, is going to be offering, starting this Friday, no-cost one-on-one consulting services for existing and prospective downtown businesses. It'll start this Friday at the DDD's offices on Florida Street, going to run from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m.
Number 2.
Southern University evacuated the John B. Cade Library due to a potential threat just before noon yesterday, marking the third time in a month that parts of the campus were evacuated. University sent out the notice to students advising people stay away from the library until further notice. All clear was given by 1:30.
Number 1.
Baton Rouge city leaders weighed in Tuesday after Governor Jeff Landry requested the National Guard be deployed in the city. Landry had submitted a request for 1,000 Louisiana National Guardsmen to the U.S. Department of War on Monday night to address ongoing public safety concerns regarding high crime rates throughout the state. Guardsmen would be sent to Baton Rouge, New Orleans, and Shreveport. Mayor Edwards has said they could use the help, but he really doesn't know how it would be implemented. What you got, JP?
Well, Brian, the shutdown is here as the Senate failed to pass a spending bill last night.
Yeah. Well, you would think it's a government shutdown. It's such huge news. It happened 8 years ago.
Right.
And it lasted for like 30 days. It lasted for a full-on month.
How affected were we, really?
Well, it's hard to say long-term how affected we were.
Yeah.
Because a year and a half later, the world shut down. So, it's hard to tell, like, what would have been the long-term effects of that because of the pandemic. So, yeah, there's that part of it. But when it comes down to it, you're probably going to see things back up and running a week, maybe two. Yeah. Maybe two. We'll ask Senator Cassidy about it. We'll also ask Congresswoman Julia Letlow about it. Both of them are on the slate for today.
That's right. All right. Well, look, a couple weeks ago, we had author Jeremy White on the show talking about his book, In Humana. Well, that book has been named to its publisher's hot buzz list for October.
So let's break this down.
This is really good stuff.
Yeah, I know it is really cool. The headline for the press release says, book distribution giant spotlights in Humana, an American healthcare story. We had Jeremy on, it was about 3 weeks ago, thereabouts, talk about the new book. The primary distributor to thousands of booksellers and librarians is featuring author Jeremy White's next memoir as part of Ingram Content Group's October Early Buzz catalog. In Humana, an American healthcare story tells how the only child was conscripted into a war with a soulless monstrosity that repeatedly tried to throw his widowed mom's life away with the surreptitious aid of unregulated artificial intelligence, all while gaslighting them with contradictory cover stories. The long and the short of this is, SAT words aside, he's going to get a lot of run. This book is going to get a lot of run and probably going to be in front of a lot more eyeballs as a result of it.
Good on him, man.
Yeah.
Shout out. Well,
so Jeremy, longtime friend,
so
Jeremy and I've known each other forever. He used to do the red shtick. I don't know if you remember.
Right. Well, I remember you talking about it. Yeah.
Yeah. So he had the printed magazine, the red shtick, and then moved to an online version, and the Red Shtick podcast was out there with Jeremy and Sonny Weathers. I was a guest on that a couple times. Would always seem to get myself in trouble too. Yeah, they'd record over at El Rio Grande restaurant on Florida or on Airline.
Yeah,
on Airline, right across from Frank's, basically.
Okay.
Yeah. You go over there, sit down, eating some nachos and drinking some tequila.
Start getting a little loose.
Get a little loose.
At the lips, just kind of
say
like
a couple of things that might have come back to haunt me.
A little incriminating there.
Yeah.
Well, after 19 years of marriage, Nicole Kidman is filing for divorce from Keith Urban.
I mean,
man,
19 years of marriage.
19 years.
They were one of those like quote unquote Hollywood couples. I mean, he's not Hollywood, but like they're one of those quote unquote Hollywood couples that you just assumed were. They're good.
Yeah.
They're good.
One would think, but yeah, apparently they've experienced marital difficulties and irreconcilable differences, Brian.
Which is always the reasoning, right?
Irreconcilable. So, man, Keith Urban breakup album coming soon? Or we divorced album?
But like, how old is I don't know how old Keith Urban is. I know Nicole Kidman is 58.
Yeah.
And she's just, you know what? Let me get back out there. Looks super good for 58. But like, let's just get back out there. See what's going on. Test that dating pool a little bit. 58-year-old Nicole Kidman wants to get on Bumble. I mean, like, that's not really where we thought it would be.
Man.
We're coming up on 7:13 at Talk 107.3 FM. 7:15 is Senator Bill Cassidy. So in order to keep things on time, let's break it here. Come right back on Talk 107.3.
And that's him. That's him on the line.
Cool, good.
Okay, Keith Urban's 57 as well. Well, she's 58, so yeah, but he's 57. Man. One heck of a guitar player, too.
Okay, yeah, Keith, you said 57?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I need to start banging out lives because we got in the conversation with Franz and I didn't do any of it. Meanwhile, we got Rocco coming in on Friday, which means there will be no 8 o'clock hour.
No.
We got Patty G on Friday, which means the back half of the 7 o'clock hour is taken.
Yeah.
Federalis Fest is this weekend. I'm looking to get Jay Hover in to talk about it.
Oh, yeah.
Really want to get Whitney in to talk about what the Downtown Development District is doing. In fact, I'm texting with her right now. I got to find her a slot because it's really cool what they're doing to take downtown businesses and prospective downtown businesses.
Yeah.
You know how many times I've said when talking about Plan Baton Rouge Phase 3, we could talk about, painting crosswalks and shit like that.
Yep.
Until you have jobs downtown, nothing else matters.
That's right.
What's the answer to everything? More jobs.
Pretty much.
This little thing that they're doing, this little bitty thing that they're doing on Fridays is an accelerant to that.
And that's what we want
Turn your downtown development district into a business incubator by helping people cross the finish line with different things they need.
Heck yeah. We're here for it, man. That's awesome.
7:15 at Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. So 11 o'clock our time last night, they shut it down. Talking, of course, about the federal government. Joining us now to talk about this, Senator Bill Cassidy's on the hotline with us. How are you, sir?
I'm doing really well, Brian. How are you?
I was expecting you to be sleeping in this morning because you don't have to go to work, right?
I've been up working already, man. So, the government may have shut down, but that doesn't mean that we're not doing our effort. Republicans are working hard to keep it open. And I'll say that Schumer seems working hard to keep it closed. Schumer's got this far left fringe pressuring him to show that he can oppose anything that Donald Trump wants to do. And now the American people are paying the price. That's okay, man. We'll keep working at it.
Well, okay, let's talk about this from a number of different perspectives. I want to start with the logistics first. What does a federal government shutdown actually mean? Who's working, who's not working, who's working for free? What services, as residents of Louisiana and constituents, what services are not available to us right now? That sort of thing. What does the shutdown look like?
So non-essential workers will be going home. So, for example, if you're going in for your passport, quite likely there won't be somebody there for your appointment. Essential workers will still be on, but they're not getting paid just right now. They'll get back pay. So, for example, air traffic controllers, Coast Guard, military. But by the way, if you're military and you're enlisted, you may be living not paycheck to paycheck, but pretty close. Mm-hmm. And so one of the concerns, of course, is that, oh, gosh, here's some young people who have committed to serving us, and now they're in a financial bind because Schumer wants to shut the government down. That's just, So, yes, they'll still be on the job because they're committed, but we as Americans want those folks not just to be on the job, we want them taken care of. And if you've got a Medicare or Social Security issue, the phone's not going to be answered.
Right.
National park, you got a vacation to a national park, it's not going to work out as well as it would have otherwise. All those kind of things you kind of take for granted, it may not be there for you.
You mentioned about air traffic controllers, TSA agents, the folks making us take off our shoes and belts. Are they still considered essential?
Oh, yeah, they're essential. They'll be on the job.
Okay.
So I'll first say that. All the way, I also point out they no longer make you take off your shoes. But that said, you want people to get paid.
Yeah.
They're doing a service for us. You want them to get paid. And Schumer, by the way, Republicans, Steve Scalise, Mike Johnson, sent over a budget that says for the next seven weeks, we're going to continue our current budget so that we can work out our differences. Schumer says no. Like today, I want $1.5 trillion more in spending. I want to restore funding for transgender surgery for minors. I want to do away with the $50 billion Republicans have put up for a rural health fund. He wants all that, and he wants it today. Now, one, he's not going to get that. But what we're saying is you got 7 weeks. Let's work out our differences. Democrats did that 13 times when Joe Biden was president. Let's work out our differences. And they're saying, no, we want it today.
So the 7-week CR, the 7 week at the current spending, to me, Senator, it felt like, if you're only behind 7 weeks, what are we doing? But it does keep everything running, though. I mean, it gives you time to talk.
Yes. And it gives you time to talk and to sort out differences. And I wish, believe me, it depresses me to think how dysfunctional Washington can be. But that's because politics take over. And frankly, Schumer is concerned that AOC is going to challenge him in his Senate race. And so Schumer, we call this the Schumer shutdown, has got to prove that he'll resist Republicans and President Trump no matter what. And so if he can't prove it, then he may lose to AOC. We have a sense of being held hostage by Democratic primary politics in New York State, and that's just bad for the rest of the country.
We're talking with Senator Bill Cassidy about the government, the federal government shutdown. Let's get back into some of the numbers here. When you talk about that $1.5 trillion, where does that money? What is that money supposed to be used for?
So the money that they're talking about would be, for example, some of the COVID pandemic programs that started under Joe Biden. They want to continue even though the pandemic has ended. Mm-hmm. And those pandemic programs, they when they wrote the legislation, they said this will stop at the end of 2025. because the pandemic would be over. The pandemic was over when they passed it, but nonetheless, that was it. Now they say, no, we want to continue these programs, even though the pandemic is over. And by the way, we haven't brought it up before. And so some of this seems to be manufactured so that Schumer can claim that he's fighting for the left and resisting Trump and resisting Republicans, as opposed to what's kind of consistent with their policy all along.
Senator Cassidy, I want to ask you about the health care for illegal aliens part of this, because that's been a big hot button issue. I asked Congressman Carter about it yesterday, and he made it seem like it was a complete non-issue. But there's dollars here, is there not?
There are dollars here. Absolutely. And there's some states like California that have really worked hard in order to enroll people into Medicaid who shouldn't be, even if they're not U.S. citizens. So we just shut that down. By the way, if Democrats really didn't think it was a big issue, then they wouldn't try to be restoring or doing away with the restrictions that Republicans put on it. And so anything, frankly, that goes against their narrative that this is all reasonable, $1.5 trillion extra spending today is just reasonable, they're going to say it's a non-issue. The American people tend to find it as an issue.
We're talking with Senator Bill Cassidy about the government shutdown, which went into effect at 11 o'clock our time last night. All right, let's talk about the duration here, and like when you've been around for 8 years ago was the last shutdown, and that one lasted more than 30 days. When do folks really start to feel the pinch?
When the American people kind of get their fill of it, then they'll reverse this. Now, already you get a sense that government workers who are not getting paid, if you're essential, if you're military, you're staying on the job, but you're not getting paid. You're air traffic controller, you're staying on the job, you're not getting paid. When they begin to feel the pinch and begin to complain enough, then it'll reverse. But frankly, when the politics turn bad for Democrats, that's when they'll say, okay, 7 weeks is a reasonable time to negotiate. Why don't we just go reopen the government and for the next 7 weeks renegotiate? I think we'll get there because, Republicans are being incredibly reasonable. Mm-hmm. Same budget, 7 weeks, gives us time to work out differences. They're saying, no, I want $1.5 trillion today. When the American people say, keep on doing this current budget, 7 weeks to work out differences, or no, you want $1.5 trillion today, I think they're going to side with Republicans as being the reasonable. They go against the Schumer shutdown, at which point Schumer waves the white flag.
We're talking with Senator Bill Cassidy about the governmental shutdown. Interestingly enough, if it happens on the first of the month, then rent is paid, lights stay on. I mean, you talk about when folks really start complaining, they'll start complaining when their bills can't get paid. So does that set the table for a full month of this right from jump?
No, it really shouldn't. Because there's some services, for example, National Flood Insurance Program. If you got to close on a house, you got a federally backed mortgage, and you got to have flood insurance, you're not going to be able to close on your mortgage. So that's like something, okay, I've been working to come to a point, taking time off with my spouse to be to the bank at this moment in time, and boom, now it's canceled for another week. Somebody wants to get a passport, and that passport's delayed. There is enough inconvenience. And by the way, you planned a trip to Yosemite, and now, as it turns out, Yosemite is closed. There's enough inconvenience that the American people are going to make themselves heard. And that's good. They should make themselves heard. Let me just say one thing, Brian, which I mentioned earlier. But Democrats under Joe Biden on 13 different occasions continued a current budget for an extra period of time to allow more negotiations with Republicans. Every time Republicans supported that, okay, let's have some breathing room. Mm-hmm. This time, Republicans are proposing the same thing. Democrats are opposing, and they're opposing because they want to show that they are going to oppose Donald Trump and Republicans no matter what. It's bad for our people. The people need to let their elected representatives know. We got 7 weeks of the current budget, work out differences, come to some sort of compromise at the end of the 7 weeks, but open the government back up. This is a Schumer shutdown.
How much room is there for compromise, though? I mean, it's even with it shut down right now, if their demands are going to stay the same, a brand new $1.5 trillion, do we have an appetite for any of that?
Of course not. But on the other hand, there's some things on healthcare that we can absolutely work on. Things that can lower the cost of healthcare. Things that can lower the cost of prescription drugs. Those are things that I've been working on for quite some time, and they're ready to go. Now, if they want to show that, my gosh, they're working for the American people, regardless of whether or not it's involving partisan politics, we can put together a healthcare package that does just what I just said. Lowers the cost of prescription drugs, lowers the cost of health insurance, and if you do that, the American people feel relief. Let me point out something, too. The American people, the middle class, is taking it on the chin. They're paying for too much for their flood insurance, their property and casualty, their health care, their groceries. Oh, my gosh, groceries. Why don't we work on those issues as opposed to performative politics to appease a far left wing? We could immediately start working on health care. They could say, oh, my gosh, we actually did something productive. The American people would be served. I would be all about that.
What are you working on the healthcare front right now? Because it feels like that's been their talking point, is exactly that.
So, for example, the state's been doing this, but we can do it at a broader scale. Drug pricing, pharmacy benefit managers, middlemen who kind of drive up the cost far more than the value that they bring to the transaction. We've had legislative reform language that could have passed last year, almost did, just didn't quite, that we can bring that up, we could pass that, and that would begin to lower the cost of prescription drugs for all these small businesses who are buying policies for their employees and for the employees who ultimately pay that premium. And so that's one example of something that we could do, and we can do that now. Why not? Let's get on it.
Got a couple minutes left with Senator Bill Cassidy talking about the governmental shutdown. Doors were closed as of 11 p.m. our time last night. Senator Cassidy, I love to talk about unintended consequences here. We are in the wake of Doge, and now the government shut down. How much, and there's a constitutional question about this as well, but how much can the president or y'all in the Senate or over on the House side, how much can be cut right now, the difference between furloughs and layoffs? I mean, are we looking at the possibility of more positions being eliminated just because they're not working?
There's going to be some things that are at threat of being eliminated, and it's a little technical. But for example, there's sometimes that industry pays a fee, and that fee goes to process their paperwork. If that fee is not renewed, then those people get laid off because we're not getting the money. There's at least one episode of that within the Food and Drug Administration where that's the case. Now, if we reopen the government, those fees are paid, and those people keep their job, and the American people are served in that aspect of what they need done. So there is a component of that. Mm-hmm. Again, the unintended consequence of the Schumer shutdown will go for, and by the way, it costs money. Think of all those government workers who are not working, but then they get back pay when you reopen.
Right.
So a week from now, they'll get back pay for after having not worked for a week and having to catch up for all the work that wasn't done. So there's unintended consequences of this. It does not work well for the taxpayer.
I guess the other way I should have asked the question is there the possibility we're going to discover more that we could just live without?
Oh, that's a possibility, but there's a more scientific way to do it. Yeah. If somebody does a downsizing in private industry, they go through the organizational chart and they say, wait a second, we're going to eliminate this position, but we need this person to cover the responsibilities that this position has. Mm-hmm. You don't do it kind of like, oh, let's shut down the government and see, throw stuff against the wall and see what sticks. You need to do it in a more kind of, rational way. And so you can make government more efficient, absolutely. But you got to make sure the government functions are still maintained. And we need government to serve the people, not the people to serve the government. So let's get government in the right position. I'm all about making government more efficient. The Schumer shutdown is not the way to do it.
He is Senator Bill Cassidy. I appreciate the time this morning, sir. We'll continue to check in as this thing wears on.
Thanks, Brian.
Always. Got just a minute before we check news, traffic, and weather at the bottom of the hour. Let me remind you about Danny and his team over at 5 Star Printing and Signs. 271-4096 is their phone number. Of course, area code 225. Physically, you'll find 5 Star right next to Big Mike's in Denham Springs, but they service the entire area. And this is one of those things that Danny really prides himself on, is making sure he's getting out and about to make sure that your business gets out and about. Take a look at your business card. Take a look at any printed material you have, whether you're talking about brochures, whether you're talking about, just general information sheets, whether you're talking about the signage on your walls or the signage on your building or the wrap on your vehicle. It does all these things. Are you being noticed? Can you be noticed more? Are you out of sight, out of mind? Do you need to be front and center? 271-4096, 271-4096 for 5-Star Printing and Signs. All right, quick break for news, traffic, weather. When we come back, new Mississippi River Bridge. We're down to 3 locations. We'll talk with Rodney Mallet next. 736 at Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Getting to Rodney Mallet from DOTD in exactly 60 seconds, because I do need to remind you about the folks over at Mathern's. Online ordering, y'all. One of the leftovers from COVID. Remember when COVID hit and we'd start ordering our groceries online, they'd bring them onto the car? Well, that stuck around. And Mathern's is still doing it. And if you regularly frequent the Nicholson Drive location in the Nicholson Gateway Shopping Center, or on Highland just west of Kenilworth, both those locations offer that curbside grocery, offer that ability to bring your groceries out to you, offer you the possibility of getting your grocery shopping done before you even leave the office. You just pull in, you don't even get out of your car. It is that easy. And if you open the Mathern's Rewards app, you can either build out your own shopping list. They've got the tabs right there on the home on the front page of the app. You can build out your own shopping list. You can take a look at the deals they have that are being offered from week to week. You can find all the weekly ads, the coupons, or you can just shop online. A little purple tab right there lets you break it down by department. When you open up the tab, look, you need meat, they got the meat section. You need frozen food, they got the frozen food section. Seafood, produce, deli, you know how it runs down. Every department within the store is right there, and you build out your shopping list from there. And oh, by the way, when you're using the Mathern's Rewards app, you're earning cash towards more groceries every time you shop. It's Mathern's. All right, time to welcome back Rodney Mallet from the Department of Transportation. Rodney, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great, Brian. How are things going today?
Going very well as well. So yesterday we were doing a news story about the Federal Highway Administration giving the state the green light to conduct an environmental assessment for a proposed new Mississippi River Bridge. This bridge would be south of Baton Rouge. Now, you've got so much more detail on this than I could possibly squeeze into a news segment. So I said, hey, let's get you on. Let's talk about it from start to finish. Walk us through what yesterday's announcement really means.
Okay, well, one of the things that you were saying was that, why is it going to take another year? Why does it take so long? What have we been doing? Well, what we've been doing is we looked at 32 different sites. We narrowed it down to 32. Then we narrowed it down to like 10, and then narrowed it down to 3.
Mm-hmm.
So what we're doing when we're looking at those things is we have to look at where we can cross the river, what kind of historical impacts are they. We'll look at DNR, their wells, pipelines, industry. We had public meetings, all of that, so we could narrow it down to the 3. And then since we have done all of that work, we got the okay to go ahead and start the NEPA process, which is a deep dive into our 3 alternatives that we have right now. And we're also going to have more public meetings on the 3 alternatives and to get public input on what we can do. So this is a great milestone for us because they tried to build this bridge back in the 90s and it did not work.
Mm-hmm.
It got shut down. But now, we're at a point where we are moving forward with it.
Okay, and I'm glad to be at the point where we're moving forward. What my point of frustration yesterday was, if I'm not mistaken, didn't we narrow down to 3 sites like 3 years ago?
We did narrow it down to the 3 sites, and then we have done a lot of the preliminary NEPA work so we can get it done in a year.
Yes, okay.
So what we were doing was a lot of the survey work. We're the line and grade work. We looked at how the cultural impacts, the draft wetlands impact. We did a lot of geotech work, survey work, traffic models, because we have to be able to show FHWA that this has the least amount of environmental impacts on the public, but also the greatest good for our traffic issues. So we have done all of that work, which is going to go right into the NEPA document that we have to get okayed by FHWA. So a lot of the work, you're right. A lot of the work that we have done is exactly for NEPA, which is going to help us move forward with this process. But also, as we go into it, we feel very confident that these are the best alternatives that we have based on the information that we have, because we've done so much of the field work.
See, that's the part that I was looking for, Rodney. Rodney Mallet from DOTD is our guest. That's the part that I was looking for. Is it feels like a hurry up and wait from the outside looking in, but from the inside, y'all were laying, pardon the pun, but laying the groundwork in order for us to be to this point right now. You don't just walk in, like fill out an application and walk in and hand it over.
Oh, that's exactly right. Especially a project of this magnitude, and these are all federal laws. FHWA requires this process, the NEPA process, the public input process. All of that is required by law. So it's not something we can just go, hey, you know what? This looks like a great place to build a bridge. Let's get on it.
Right.
We have to do all of this to actually show FHWA and the public and everybody else that's interested that this is the best alternative we have, minimal amount of environmental impact, and the greater good for the traffic.
Okay, so as far as the traffic's concerned, when you look at the three potential locations, they're all in Iberville Parish. So I'm making a gross assumption here, but it's what and what between the three. I mean, it's going to get the same traffic no matter which location you pick, right?
Well, yes. I mean, they're all going to have about the same. I mean, there's a little bit of difference here and there, but, that's why we narrowed it down to the three. They're all going to have about the same benefits. But that's part of what we're going to do. We're going to take a deeper dive. But, yes, these all three should be able. And we get this all the time. This is not a loop. This is part of the fix for the Baton Rouge congestion. This is going to take a lot of the traffic off of LA1 and give them another route to get across the Mississippi River.
Oh, we're going to get to that part of it as well when it comes to sort of the redirects along the way. We're talking with Rodney Mallet about laying out timeline for a potential new Mississippi River bridge. When it comes to the three different locations, what are we looking at when you say the word environmentally? Some folks think, along the terms of is there solid ground to put pilings in? Other folks think of like protecting the spotted tree frog. What does environmental mean?
There's a lot to it. You're looking at, the human impact, environmental impacts. We're looking at everything from noise to historical impacts, plant animal species, geology, the stormwater and floodplains and wetlands. All of that is going to be taken into consideration. And then you also look for noise, impacts on parks and recreation, historical sites, all of those kind of things that we have to look into for the NEPA process.
So let's stick with that, Rodney, because wasn't most of that factored in the narrowing down to the three? I mean, really, it's not. We're looking at that. We're handing it off to the to NEPA to okay, we did our due diligence. Now y'all sign off.
Kinda. But what we did with all these sites is we had to look at all of them. And so it wasn't the actual deep dive that the FHWA requires. It was the high to mid-level dive. And now what we're going to do is go deeper. So when we turn in, we have all the information that we have, which is going to be very beneficial as we do our deeper dive and give the document to FHWA. The reason that we're going to be able to do NEPA in a year, as we have stated that's the timeline, is because of all the work that we did in the past leading up to this point. So while we do have the information, like you were talking about, we still have to put more to it. So when we give it to FHWA, there's more of a understanding from them of what we're doing. And we also have to get public input at our two public meetings that we're having in December, which is also part of the process. And you can get more information on the environmental impact from the public who are actually in that area.
When it comes to environmental impact and affecting the public or impacting the public, how much do we already know? I mean, subdivisions are where subdivisions are. Are we
right.
Affecting anybody's backyard? Is there going to be any kind of eminent domain along the way? Do we have ground that we could put pilings in? Some of the stuff we already know. How much do we already know?
Oh gosh, I mean, I can't put a percentage on it. I can say we have most of the information that we need. We don't have all the information that we need to complete the NEPA document. And a lot of that is because of the public input, the public meetings, the public engagement, which is required. And we're doing 2 in December, and then we're going to do a couple more early 2026. Okay. And then we'll be able to compile all of those, all of that input into our NEPA document, along with all the field work that we have done, and send that off to FHWA to get their approval. But you're right. I mean, like, all the work that we have done to this point has definitely made us confident that these 3 alternatives are going to be serviceable, and also that it's going to help us complete the NEPA document in a quicker timeline. And also, we feel like it's going to be very thorough and accurate.
Yeah, and if I'm recalling back to when we first narrowed down to 3 locations, we're not, ramming up into anybody's subdivisions here. They're all 3 locations are pretty safely removed from, you're not putting a bridge in the middle of a school zone.
Right. That's one of the many things that we looked at when we started the process. We had to look to see if we were going to impact any industry. We have to look to see how we're going to impact, the Coast Guard, the vessels that use the Mississippi River Bridge, where they moor, where they anchor, the ports and such. So we had to look at all of that kind of stuff. Now that we're going into the official NEPA phase, we don't have to look at all of that. We have that information. And you're right. This is where we're going to have the least amount of environmental impact, and we're still going to get a big bang for our buck when it comes to traffic mitigation.
Got 2 minutes left with Rodney Mallet from DOTD. If everything goes right on this front, is there a projected date when we'll start to see some dirt being turned or cement being poured?
Well, these are easy questions, but they're hard to answer because a lot of this is dependent on funding.
Right.
And that's part of what we're going to be looking at when we move forward with the NEPA process is the funding sources that are available. But I will tell you that talking to some of the people who are involved in this project, if everything goes right and the NEPA process goes right and the funding comes through, we could have the new bridge open to traffic by 2033.
Wow. Okay. Open to traffic by 2033. Got 1 minute left with Rodney Mallet. Got to ask about in the interim, obviously, as we wait on everything else, how much work is being done in making sure that both sides of this bridge can get you back to the interstate? I mean, I don't want to say, the tangential projects, the peripheral projects, Highway 30 connected back to the interstate on maybe through 415 on the west side. What are we looking at on that front?
Well, it's definitely part of the project is the connector to LA1 to LA30. So, but as far as the actual widening of LA30, and that's a different project, separate from this one. And the reason for that is because of funding, because of timing, because of the NEPA process. The goal here is to get this extra connector across the Mississippi River Bridge to get that peak hour traffic off of LA1, and that's going to really help traffic through Baton Rouge because you're not going to have as many people trying to get on at LA1 in West Baton Rouge and driving through the city because they're going to have an alternate route. And then by then, we will have the I-10 widening project complete. So, we're going to see by 2033, we're going to see better traffic control here in Baton Rouge.
I greatly appreciate the information and the update. I knew if we unpacked it, we'd get somewhere with it. He's Rodney Mallet from DOTD. Thank you so much for filling in those empty spaces.
Anytime, Brian. You do a great job, and I appreciate you.
Always. Thank you, Rodney. Here's your money now. What up? .755 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Normally, this day in history comes up at 8:05, but we'll be talking small business at 8:05 with Leah Long from the NFIB, the National Federation for Independent Business. So right now, the folks over at 5 Star Printing and Signs bring you this day in history. All right, JP, what's happening?
We begin in 1888. Can you believe that National Geographic magazine is published for the first time on this day, 1888?
1888 is where you're beginning?
It's wild, right?
Well, I want to roll it back even earlier than that.
Okay.
It was on this day in 1800 that Napoleon convinced, hang on now, Napoleon induced a reluctant King Charles IV of Spain to cede Louisiana back to France.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a good place to start. How did I miss that?
I don't know.
Man.
Well, because it was Spanish at the time. It went back to France. Like, it didn't become American yet.
Yeah.
It was just that shuffle and handing off Louisiana back and forth. Napoleon stepped in.
There we go.
So, yeah.
1908. Henry Ford introduces a Model T car, priced at $825.
Let's go.
1957, the first appearance of In God We Trust on U.S. paper currency.
Hang on. 1932.
1932.
1932.
Ooh,
Today's the famous Babe Ruth called his shot game.
Okay, yeah.
Points to the outfield.
Yeah.
Yanks one. Yep.
Like that.
Yep.
Like that. Let's see. 1958.
Okay.
NASA begins operations.
Okay.
Today.
Good for them. Good stuff.
Let's see. 1962. Johnny Carson hosts his first The Tonight Show on NBC.
What a run, huh?
Yeah.
By the way, 1 year before that, 1961, Roger Maris hit his 61st home run, breaking Babe Ruth's record.
Nice.
Which would then go on to be broken a couple times. So.
Yeah.
And this day in 1975 was the Thrilla in Manila.
Okay. Yeah. 1982, Marvin Gaye releases his last studio album, Midnight Love.
Okay.
It was that same year that John Cougar Mellencamp was asked not to return to the Tasty Freeze after sucking on a chili dog outside of the premises.
Oh.
No, I'm kidding.
Oh.
But that same year, because of, number one, Jack and Diane, that year. That line just was always funny.
What, sucking on a chili dog?
Yeah, just.
You don't suck on a chili dog.
Stop playing with your food.
Eat the chili dog.
Stop playing with your food, John Mellencamp.
I would ask you to leave, too.
I know. Just get out of here. Oh, man. 2013, a partial U.S. shutdown Occurs today,
Okay.
2013.
This day in 2017, Stephen Paddock opened fire from his hotel room in Las Vegas, killing 58 people, wounding hundreds more before taking his own life. In a story that to this day is looked back on with a whole lot of questions.
Oh, man.
Birthdays.
Jimmy Carter today, who
Yep.
actually, 101 today, I believe.
Is he now?
I believe so.
Okay. Born on this day in 1963, Mark McGuire.
Okay,
Yep.
yeah.
Who else you
Julie
got?
Andrews as well.
Yep.
Let's see, Walter Matthau and Zach Galifianakis.
I had Zach Galifianakis on my list as well.
Yep.
And that's pretty much it.
Oh, yeah.
Brie Larson.
Brie Larson as well, yeah. Captain Marvel herself. Tom Clancy today for deaths.
That was the one that I had.
Yep.
That and U.S. General Curtis LeMay died on this day in 1990.
That's right.
And that was all that I had.
Yeah, as far as national days go here, I'm a little confused, if I'm being honest. Coffee Day. Didn't we just have Coffee Day?
We just had Coffee Day.
Why is it
3 days ago?
Yeah.
When
weird.
they launched the Ubix pie.
Yeah.
I still haven't gotten over to French Truck to go get one.
What about CD player day? We still listen to CDs and
I got homemade cookie day.
hey, I'll go with that.
CD player day? Yeah. Do you still have your CDs?
Of course, man.
I don't. I lost half of them in the flood. Like,
Oh,
yeah, just
see,
got
yeah.
just enough water in there to like make them stick to the cover.
Oh,
I know.
man.
I know. And I had a collection too.
I
had
believe
so
it.
many, like
I believe it.
all 90s hip hop.
Mm.
Yeah. All right, we got a break. Hour 3 is next.
Yeah, I still rock the CD case in the car the other day. We were parked, and I was telling my oldest daughter, Nevaeh, hand me my CD case, please. She's like, Dad, really? Yes, I do.
I have a CD player in my car.
That's still my favorite form of like digital media.
Yeah.
I like CDs. I was definitely the kid opening up, reading all the liner notes, all that stuff. Like, it's still my favorite form of media.
Yeah, trivia or a poll question. Do you oh, hang on. Do you remember when your eyes were good enough to read the lyrics inside a CD case?
Oh man, good stuff.
Oh, and the way people just ignore where the track is. Like people are on the course. Okay. Do any of those headphones over there work? Because we might need to get. Possibly. Lauren might have to be on the phone. And if she's on the phone, Joe's not going to be able to hear her. So. Yeah. Her arrival time right now is 8:14, so hopefully she'll be here. Okay. 806 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Hour 3 coming your way right now. Brian here with you. JP producing. Stacked up hour, y'all. Very stacked up hour. We have got Leah Long on the hotline right now. We're going to talk small business. The plan was a fourth quarter preview, but it's kind of serendipitous that we get to take a double dip here, because I also want to talk about how long does it take before small business feels the pinch of a federal government shutdown, or do they even? That's coming up in just a minute. Also this hour, Lauren Griffin and Joe Carvalhido from LSU's Alumni Association are in our next segment, and then we'll wrap up with DC Current presented by LABI. We got Congresswoman Julia Letlow joining us on the hotline. Right now, though, like we said, as promised, Leah Long from NFIB. How are you?
Hey, good morning. Thanks for having me on.
No, glad to have you on. Appreciate you hopping on board today. So let's do this in reverse order. The initial plan was that fourth quarter preview, how is small business looking? But considering the news of the day, I feel like we should start with the question of, when you see a federal government shutdown, what are the effects on small business?
I think the initial just effect is kind of everyone's kind of wondering what's going to happen. But for the actual, how it's going to affect small business, we don't really know that. It depends on, how long, what all, types of, money, if you are receiving it from the government, that kind of thing. So at this moment, we really haven't gauged the members. Obviously, it happened in the wee hours of the morning, starting this morning. So we don't really know how it's going to affect them at this time.
Do we have comps? Do we have, because the last time we saw this was, 2017, 2018?
Yeah.
Is there a way to take from one shutdown and compare it to the next?
It just kind of depends on the numbers, and like I said, different type of businesses, and so we don't really have those numbers. I don't think at this time. So I guess we could come back in a week or so and see, okay, who was affected, who wasn't. Mm-hmm. But right now, there's too uncertainty.
I know, it might sound like there's not a crossover effect, but everything trickles down. So. I'm sure we'll get to a point at some point along the way. Just might be a little premature for it right now. We are talking with Leah Long from the National Federation for Independent Business. All right, Leah, let's dive into the original intended topic for today, and that is, how are we looking? What's the fourth quarter setting up like? How is 2025 stacking up?
Yeah, so optimism has increased slightly with small business owners. It's just a lot of that based was on the fact that the 20% small business deduction was signed and made permanent in July. So that kind of allows small business owners to plan and have more of a favorable future moving forward. But they're still facing issues. We're still dealing with certain aspects of inflation. And one of the biggest issues that they're facing is the labor quality issues that they have, a skilled workforce. And we talk about that in Louisiana all the time. How do we get a better skilled workforce? And I know that something the legislators have been working on. I think that's going to continue to be worked on in this next legislative session. And so that's kind of where they're falling right now. Business environment is improving, but we still have to figure out the labor issue.
How do we figure out the labor issue? Because there's the short-term, long-term on that one, right? I mean, we have a short-term need, but there have to be long-term solutions.
Yeah, so it's almost like a double-edged sword there. I know this last session we did pass the one-door policy, and so we're hopeful that, that's going to get people that are looking for jobs connected to employers faster, and so that's something. And continuing to invest in our trade school programs, investing in programs, with different community colleges, trade schools, more business to college experience, and just connecting those people and allowing them to have the opportunities to develop a different skill set, more training, that kind of stuff. And I know that the LED is working on that, the Workforce Commission, Governor Landry, just, how do we make sure that we have these skilled workers available? We talk every day, new businesses coming into Louisiana. And so, and we need to make sure we have people for those jobs, and also businesses that are already here looking for employees.
Got Leah Long from the National Federation for Independent Business on with us. Let's talk about that one-door program for just a minute, because this is another short-term, long-term here. Implementation of this is one thing, but actual adaptation to it is another. I mean, it was only the most recent legislative session that, a bunch of hurdles were cleared. But how long, from your perspective, how long before we see this regularly used and regularly help folks get on the job?
It's just early stages of that. And, I think it's just the process of getting people adapted, like you just said, to be able to use that. And so I think as we continue to move forward, it hasn't even been really 6 months yet since, the legislation passed. So, hopefully this time next year that we'll be able to kind of streamline some of the processes. That's always what we want to do with government. We want to make it easier and streamline in general. And so I think being able to streamline some of the connecting workforce issues is going to be a huge deal for people in Louisiana.
Outside of labor quality, insurance is always a topic.
Absolutely.
How much from a small business perspective got solved last time out, or not solved, but, made easier?
Yeah, so I always love to quote some of the legislators. There's no silver bullet, and we keep chipping away at it. And so, the legislation that we did pass the last two sessions, those are huge things. They do move the needle, but there's still more that needs to be done. And, it is going to take a little bit for people to see a decrease in their insurance premiums. Small business owners, they say that that's one of the biggest issues they've been dealing with the last 2 years, and it eats at their bottom line because they've got to absorb those costs somehow.
So, along with insurance issues, give me the third one. What's number 3 on that priority list?
Number 3 would be workers' comp reform. That's something we're talking about right now and looking for the next session, and that's something we've been trying to tackle for, several years, and that kind of falls directly on how we are dealing with insurance. It's the lawsuit abuse arena, and so that falls under that, and for workers' comp, to be able to make it a more fair and balanced system, to be able to get the employees back to work, but also make it a more transparent system for the employers, too, because they pay a ton in workers' comp premiums. I think the stat is like Louisiana is one of the 5th highest when it comes to workers' comp premiums.
Oh, you're going to love this, Leah. Next week, we're taking a deep dive into we'll have Tiger Joyce on, talk about judicial hellholes, but we're talking lawsuit abuse watch pretty much all next week, with the exception of Wednesday when we take the show on the road to go to Lobby's workers' comp conference. So,
of course,
we are all
it's a
over
big
it.
thing.
Yeah,
we love it.
Absolutely.
We need to spread the word. It's time for reform. If we're going to talk about lawsuit abuse and continue to chip away every session, I think we need to put workers' comp in there and make some moves on that too.
Could not agree more. Okay, so walk us through what the fourth quarter looks like. You covered where we're at from an optimism standpoint, but from a number standpoint, are we moving the needle?
Yeah, I think we're moving the needle. Of course, fourth quarter, it's holiday season. That is a huge thing for small business owners. So I obviously love to throw in the fact that as we move toward holiday season, whether it's Halloween, whether it's Christmas, Thanksgiving, be sure to, support those local small businesses because they thrive in quarter four and it helps them set up for, 2026. So any chance that you can go and support a small business is going to be huge during Q4.
She is Leah Long with the National Federation for Independent Business. If this shutdown keeps going, we'll check back in to see what the effects are locally. In the meanwhile, we always appreciate the time and the information.
Yes, definitely. Thank you.
Yep. Talk to you soon. 8:14 at Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Before we take our break and talk about small business, Landmark Bank, landmarkbankla.com. They are, by definition, by mission, a community bank. Have been since 1897. Check them out online at landmarkbankla.com. And why is a community bank important? Well, okay, from a business perspective, a small business perspective especially, rewind the clock back to COVID. Okay, if you're a small business owner, you remember going through the PPP process? We heard story after story. We didn't just hear, we saw story after story of small businesses who, if they weren't dealing with a banker, they were dealing with a bank, just getting lost in the wash. Your small business doesn't mean anything to the big boys, but when you deal with a community bank, you come first. The number of local bankers who just busted their tails night and day to make sure your business stayed afloat throughout the pandemic, that's what they do at Landmark Bank. LandmarkBankLA.com. Find the branch local closest to you in the communities around Baton Rouge. Check them out. Deal with a bank, not just a bank, with Landmark Bank. You made it. How about it?
Brutal. It's the literal worst. He's like, Warren, move him. It's a long story.
Wait, where do you live?
I live in the Garden District.
Oh, God. .818 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Time to pivot over to LSU. Welcoming back Joe Carvalhido and Lauren Griffin from the Alumni Association. How's it going this morning?
Hey, Brian.
It is wonderful to be here with you, man.
I just beat the Baton Rouge traffic to
I
make it in.
Well, I want to start there if we could. How bad is it out there right now?
It was tough. It was tough. I'm not going to lie. I was doing a little weaving, and I was praying there weren't a whole lot of cops looking at me.
You can't get hit retroactively, so you can confess to it here.
Okay, good,
it's all
great,
good. A lot going on with y'all right now. A lot going on with LSU right now. I know we're thinking we're almost midway through a semester. Like there's a downtime here, but there's really not. Y'all's calendar and the school calendar, they don't necessarily match up because y'all have to be a couple months ahead, if not a full semester ahead.
Oh yeah.
Tell me what's going on. What's the latest?
We are still in football season right now.
Are we?
I know. We've all kind of given up on it for a second, but
No.
we're still in it.
No,
We're
okay, no. Not giving up on anything. If you're going to root through the problems, the bye week's
That's right.
time to do it.
The bye week's the
Coming
time
back
to do
strong.
It. Yep.
Get ready. Buckle up, South Carolina.
It's a good practice time
Yeah.
too. I think Brian Kelly and the troops will be fine. They, one game doesn't make a season, and this is the first. Watching Clemson play was the first true road test. I think Ole Miss is a really top 15 team.
They are.
And, it gives us an opportunity to kind of look and see what we have. And it's a live look-in. My time at women's basketball really gave us that time when we had an off week, so to speak, kind of self-reflection. Film sessions were a little rough during these times, especially after a loss. But, I think they'll be ready for South Carolina.
But I think we're taking a traveling Tigers trip to Vanderbilt.
Okay.
We are.
We're sold out, though. Is that right?
We are sold out. We're actually going to have a great party at Garth Brooks' place, Friends in Low Places.
No kidding.
On
That
Friday
night before, yeah. So
Okay.
there's still some availability on that. If people are going to Nashville, let us know.
By the way, Baton Rouge Metro Airport has a direct flight just for this trip.
There we
so
go.
Check it out at flybtr.com. Had to get in the plug
There we go. I love it. I love it.
Real quick, before we get into some of y'all's business, since you brought up football, okay, I understand like TAF having to take a lot of guff when the football team's not doing well. Does it translate over to y'all as well?
Business-wise, we have a hotel on campus. We don't get as much of the,
Ebbs
from
and flows.
the philanthropic piece, obviously, on the athletic side is direct. And we don't get a lot of that as much as TAF did when I was at Tiger Athletic Foundation, and you saw it too. I mean, you saw the attendance, if you have loss or who was coming to the games and things like that. So it wasn't as bad on this side, but you
our
do
hotel,
see it.
when people travel in to come to see the games, that impacts us. We love a full hotel. We usually are completely booked out at the Cook, as and we likely still will be for the year. But yeah, I mean, that transient business, it's always nice to have people continue to know who we are and what we're doing over there. And, I think.
Well, you live in town. You see the restaurants. You see the traffic.
Oh, yeah.
If there's the Florida game, we had, I was at Superior Restaurant, and it was packed. The following weekend, you go, okay, it's family weekend, so it was still packed. But then if you lose, you know how it is. It's just, it ebbs and flows, right?
I will say, with South Carolina and A&M on the docket for our home games, I think there's still some hope in the air. So we still have people reaching out to try and come, so it's not a total loss for us for sure.
No, they're exciting times. Homecoming is upcoming for South Carolina, and A&M is always a big game. It's been a big game for a long time. We just haven't had them on the schedule for a couple of years.
It's the right week to have homecoming.
Yes.
Because, it's number one, they're going to right the ship on the field. And number two, it's a natural draw for the alumni to come back for homecoming weekend, regardless of the status of the team. So,
absolutely,
kind of, the Gamecocks are going to walk into a perfect storm.
I hope so. I hope so.
Let's talk about y'all's business a little bit and what you're working on. One of the things I'm always curious about is how much interaction is there from an alumni association level all the way down to recruiting or making the high school senior who's coming to LSU, making that transition work, making sure that all levels of the student experience start from day one.
Well, yeah, and that's something when I became president, I really wanted to see. I really wanted to see a life cycle of a student to become an alum. I didn't want to chase them out of the PMAC saying, we're here for you type of thing. So
once they graduate.
Right.
Yeah, one of the things that we wanted to see was, when they're a high school senior, said they're coming to LSU, I wanted to see our chapter groups in those local cities really embrace the students. And they've done that. We've done it in major cities. We have more work to do. But we have, from a high school senior side, we want them to know who we are right from the beginning. And make sure that they understand what the Alumni Association is there for them, not only at the end, but during their time here. So our on-campus programming has gotten a lot better. Our visibility within the university has gotten a lot better. But we want the parents to know we're here for them. And we have a family association at LSU, not the Alumni Association, but within LSU. And there's a lot of safety nets for parents to know that their kid's going to get taken care of while they're at LSU.
Right.
But these high school senior send-offs are very, very good for us because we want the Alumni Association in their mind because there's the eventuality of a graduation, mentoring internships and things like that. There's a lot of LSU alums that are in these different cities that want to help and want to bring LSU students into their fold and into their companies.
Why? Because it which is perfect, because how can you walk a path if you don't know where that path is headed?
Correct.
And alumni is the goal here.
That's right.
Being an alum is the goal here. Making sure you cross that finish line and cross that stage with your
Correct.
with your degree. If you're not pointed in that direction, how do you get there?
We
That's
talk
great.
a lot about A&M, and it's it's the week that we can still talk about them. But we know that network over there, and I think a lot of parents are excited to send their kids there because they know they probably have a future in a career with another A&M alum.
Right.
And that's what we want to work on. I mean, I think there's a little bit of that just because people's relationships here are so strong. But once you move away from the city, we want to make sure that kids have a network to tap into. Now, we don't want them to move away from the city, to be totally honest with you.
Yes.
But as the brand perpetuates throughout the country, we want to make sure that they're tied back to us. So getting them to understand who we are, just like the A&M, we like to say cult, obviously, but like those kids know they're joining the Alumni Association as soon as they step on campus.
Right.
We talked about starting class gifts to kind of get them to understand what a philanthropic mindset means before they even get out of school, that they want to give back into the university. And when they become successful, go talk to the foundation and understand how they can give back into LSU and mentor kids and just perpetuate that cycle.
It's cultural. It's cultural, Brian. And I think changing a culture is hard. It's not going to take, 2 to 3 years. It's going to take about a 20 to 30 year cycle.
Right.
To get people's minds.
It's generational.
Yes, it is. It truly is. And education was fairly inexpensive here for a long, long time, which was great. But there's a cost to educate kids, but LSU's enrollment's up. I mean, that is a national trend of a down cycle of enrollment, and LSU is bucking that trend at a very, very high rate, which tells us there's excitement within the brand. There's great leadership at the school, and it's going in the right direction, and we're real excited about that.
Walk me through a little bit about getting career ready while you are a student, because this is all part of the cycle, right? From the moment you graduate high school, you're going to LSU. While you're at LSU, you got to have one eye on your studies and one eye on your future. Career readiness. What's the latest on that front?
The Olin Career Center does an amazing job with the students to help prepare them, through resume building, through helping them dress accordingly for interviews, by giving them advice on how to interview. And so there's a natural progression for us to work with the Olin Career Center, which we haven't done as much in the past. But there's walking hand in hand. I don't want to say it's a complete marriage because we're two separate organizations. Obviously, they're within LSU, and we're a separate affiliate. But there's complete, like I said, walking hand in hand with them, from them as an organization that helps with resume building and things, and then us on the alumni side, bringing them to the table to say, okay, these are the Tigers that are coming out this year, and how can we help these kids get jobs, internships, things like that.
Yeah, we kind of look at the Olin Career Center and this really is their role, and they say that, right, is helping kids while they're in school, while they're on campus. So like Joe said, resume building, but also getting internships while they are still in class, right? That's the Olin Career Center's role. We kind of want to take it to the next level, of course, in transitioning from, yes, they've had internships with the Olin Career Center. Now we have alumni who are looking to continue internships, yes, but hire you. So, we talked a little bit last time about this LSU TigerNation.com platform that we have. If folks are hiring out there, dump your jobs into this platform, right? There is Handshake that a lot of the students look for, but there's also people that have graduated that are 1 to 2 years out that are looking to advance their careers. That's our arena, really. And we want to help kids get jobs right out of school, of course. There's a lot of resources for that. It's continuing to connect them with Tigers as they grow.
It's like the mantra needs to be, "We've got you."
Yeah. Ooh.
Very much so. It's definitely a situation where you want to know when you get out of school. I mean, it's a scary situation when you get out of school if you don't have a job.
I was terrified.
That senior year, and you're going, well, maybe I'll push this back a little bit, type of thing. College ain't that bad.
Rodney Dangerfield and Back to School.
Yeah.
It's rough out there. Don't go.
Yeah, exactly right. But there's a lot of people on the side of the alumni side that want to help, and I think there's a big piece that we just have to make that marriage happen
Right.
between the student and the alum.
Take the 1-2 and turn it into how.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's
correct.
Yeah,
Yes.
And we would encourage you, if you're a business owner listening, or not even a business owner, if you're hiring, like, reach out to us and let's see how we can start connecting you with real potential kids. We have great relationships with the colleges, and they're kind of starting to understand how we want to help them really connect with Tigers who are in the workforce. So I'm not going to shout out my email on air, but
we can just
go
give out
online.
the general website for LSU Alumni Association. In the meanwhile, we are just straight up out of time for today. By the way, last time we referenced Texas A&M, so that gets put in the closet until when?
Okay, fair.
Yeah, all right.
Forever.
At least until January.
Forever.
Lauren and Joe, thank y'all so much for a couple minutes this morning.
Thanks,
Thank
Brian.
you.
Thank y'all. We got 10 seconds until news, traffic, weather. Back to D.C. right after we take a quick break. D.C. Current presented by the Louisiana Association of Business and Industry. We check in with Congresswoman Letlow next.
Thank you, Brian.
That's great, Brian.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
We're a little bit lighter than whatever else you talk about today. Government shutdowns.
I'll take it.
And,
I'll take it all day long.
Letlow just must love to follow us up, huh? She's like, oh, they're an easy.
Yeah,
they're
that she was
easy.
dropping that she wasn't going to be president.
Was she on after y'all last time?
Yeah.
She dropped that
She wasn't going to be.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Well, so yeah, she is every other Wednesday at 8:35.
That makes sense.
So, yeah, and y'all are the first Wednesday. So,
Well, sorry about just all the. If this is a good time slot for you moving forward.
8:15. Well, so what I put down was like to move y'all around a little bit to get you in front of different, because the 7, like if you're on the road at 7:35, you're at work by 8.
I'd like to bring my kids in every week.
So
I'm usually early. It just depends on the traffic.
we can do 8:15, no problem. No problem at all.
That works.
So,
That works for you?
Yep.
And since she's got to go to Metairie to drop her kid off.
Yeah, basically.
Appreciate you. Bye, Brian.
We'll see y'all. Drop it off for kids. Oh, Dad. Jello Mike. Can you look in the off chance that Congresswoman Letlow doesn't show? Oh no, I haven't mixed it down yet. We can't use it yet. And the lead vocalist and founder of 38 Special, he's a very good interview. It's one of those ones where I agreed to do it. I'm like, I have no idea where we're gonna play this back, and I still don't know where we're gonna play it back yet. But I know I want to play it back now.
Yeah.
They have a new album out.
New album. That's impressive. I like that.
Yeah. They haven't put out an album in 20 years. And I'm talking to the guy, and I'm like, so spoilers, right? I'm talking to the guy, I'm like, it's a completely different distribution method from the last time. The last time y'all had an album, you're looking to sell CDs.
That's
right.
right. That's right.
Now you're looking for downloads.
Yep.
And I mean, like,
streams
seriously,
and downloads, man.
the last time you had an album out, if you told someone you were viral, they'd tell you to go get a shot.
Yeah.
And I'm relatively certain he took that joke and stole it for the rest of the day.
Oh man.
So.
Yeah, it's a whole different world, man. I wonder if in this new, I don't know, if they're on social media and stuff like that more.
Who, 38 Special?
Yeah, if they're really kind of going that direction,
Yeah, I can't imagine they are.
Man.
They put out the content and let everybody else take care of it.
Right.
Yeah, come on. Oh, I'm so hungry this morning. There she is.
Studio. Hi, good morning. Yes, ma'am. We're looking to have you up here in another minute or so. Awesome. Thank you. .837 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. As we do, it is time for DC Current, presented by LABI. You know what bill wasn't adopted, and that was a spending plan last night, so we have a governmental shutdown. Nonetheless, the show must go on. Congresswoman Julia Letlow on the hotline right now. How are you?
Hey, Brian, I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing very well as well. How tense are things in Washington right now? I mean, when you have a shutdown, it's obviously people aren't happy, but gauge the vibe for me, if you will.
Well, I believe things are tense up in D.C. I'm back in Louisiana because, as you know, we completed our work. We passed a continuing resolution, that stopgap bill, for 7 more weeks of funding work to get this all the way through. But as I'm sure you reported this morning, the Senate did not pass that CR. So hence, we are in a government shutdown. So things are pretty tense up in D.C. I know leadership is up there hammering it out. We've had quite a few phone calls as well to understand what's happening up there. But again, our hands are tied unless the Senate decides to pass that continuing resolution.
So walk me through this and peel back the curtain as much as is humanly possible here. Does it, in order for this to move forward, does it have to start back over in the House again?
No, in order for this to move forward, all the Senate has to do is pass that clean continuing resolution that we passed through the House. And what clean means is there weren't any contentious poison pills in there. We didn't add anything to it, take away. We just said, let's continue the budget that we have going for 7 more weeks. And I have to tell you, I know I've shared, Brian, that this is incredibly frustrating to me as an appropriator because it is our job literally to fund the government every year. We got all 12 of our funding bills out of committee, meaning we did our work, we did our job. Now it's up to the House and the Senate to pass those all the way through. And apparently we needed just a bit more time, is what leadership was asking for, to get those across the negotiating table. So really, this is just a game of partisan politics. You probably heard that Democrats have some demands on the table. This isn't the right place, in my opinion, to have those talks, especially when you're talking about shutting down the federal government. So, yes, the power lies on the Senate side. They are actually going to, I believe, vote again and again today on that CR. Hopefully, some Democratic senators will flip over to our side. We saw 3 come over yesterday. We need about 4 more, I believe, to pass it through, and then the government will resume operations.
We're talking with Congresswoman Julia Letlow. This is DC Current, presented by the Louisiana Association of Business and Industry. Okay, I appreciate you clearing that one up for me, because if it's just a matter of the Senate can just go back and revote on the same thing, that should make things easier, because y'all don't have to dial back in.
Correct, and that's why we are all back in our districts. This all is at their feet to complete the process. I know our Republican senators are working hard to get those Democratic votes to flip over. But again, we don't need to play with keeping the federal government open for a partisan policy ask. Let's just continue to do our job, fund the government, and keep things moving forward.
How much would 7 weeks do for actual negotiations? How much, because I know there's an ask for another $1.5 trillion to be added. How much would actually be on the table if that 7 weeks were adopted?
Well, that 7 weeks just goes back to us being able to get our funding bills across the finish line.
Right.
That gives the chairman more time to work with, we call them the 4 corners, to go in and negotiate those bills all the way through. But it also gives us more time to pass more bills on the floor. You know, as we've talked about before, sometimes that can be tricky with such a slim majority. But we need to do our part. Republicans have the House chamber. We should be able to pass those funding bills, get them over to the Senate. They do their job, and we get back to what we call regular order. That's how the Founding Fathers set it up. We need to get back to funding the government in an orderly fashion and not continuing to do these continuing resolutions, Brian, where you just kick the ball down the field. We need to really take a hard look at getting back to how it was intended, government was intended to be funding, and that is through passing these appropriations bills and getting back to regular order. The American people deserve that transparency. They deserve that order.
Well, and the American people are smart enough to know that when you see CR after CR after CR, eventually it's just theatrics.
Yeah, exactly. And we're basically operating off of a Biden administration, a Biden budget. That's not good. That's not what the Republicans sent us to Washington to do. So let's get back to regular order. Let's pass funding bills that are conservative and have the conservative mindset, and continue to provide those cuts for the American people. They sent us to Washington to cut back the federal government. We do that in these funding bills, but we have to be able to get them all the way through.
Well, and that's part of the that part of the theatrics there is Congresswoman Letlow is when you see CR after CR after CR and people get all fed up. Eventually, they say, let's cut off our nose and spite our face. Don't care if the government shut down, and that doesn't allow you to do the work you were voted to do. You weren't voted to sit there for a shutdown. Voted in to sit there for a shutdown. You were voted in to be a congresswoman.
Absolutely, and to go to work, and for the government to sit down. I understand that the people get fed up with that, and it does. It all goes back to theatrics, in my opinion. I feel like Schumer wants to stick it to this administration, and this is just for theatrics. There's really no point in arguing this policy that he is adamant about health care, that those tax credits don't expire until December. Why are we arguing that in October and shutting down the government over it when we have time to iron that out? So this really is just partisan politics at play, and quite frankly, I'm fed up with it. I know the American people are as well.
Got a couple minutes left with Congresswoman Julia Letlow. DC Current presented by the Louisiana Association of Business and Industry. You can learn more at labi.org. I want to pivot real quick, if we could, Congresswoman, because since you are back in the state, our governor has sounded off on the offer, I guess you could say, by the president to send 1,000 troops, National Guard troops, into Louisiana to help battle crime. I've just been kind of, gauging everybody's temperature on this. Where are you at on that idea?
I am all for it. I've been a loud, vocal supporter of the governor making those requests. We all know about the safety concerns in our cities. Brian, I hear about it all the time wherever I go. Actually, whenever I was running as well, people were fed up and concerned about crime. I hear about it in Baton Rouge now that I represent the capital region, who say that we absolutely need more help. I know the same is true in New Orleans. I lived in New Orleans for 4 years. I left part of my heart there, but it has such potential, Brian, to be an incredible city. But people, as I make friends all across the country, people are scared to come to New Orleans, and it doesn't need to be that way. It is a wonderful city of hospitality. Let's get back there, and I think this can actually be the catalyst that gets us there. The governor has requested that the Louisiana National Guard be deployed. And I am all for it. And I think as I go around the state and I ask people about it, because I'm just curious to know their thoughts, I haven't met a person that said that is not a good idea.
Well, and I think there's a lot of folks that are in the same boat as me right now that say, I'm with it in theory, but in practice, what does it look like? Do we know what it looks like in practice?
Yeah, so the governor's request was to deploy up to 1,000 members of the Louisiana National Guard. Now, this goes through the federal government for funding purposes. So the Guard would act more as a supporting role. So likely not making arrests, but providing additional support to existing law enforcement. And that's key here. We hear about the deficit in our law enforcement wherever we go. They would act as additional support. So this could mean detaining folks until arresting officers arrive, or cleaning up the streets and acting as a deterrent for further crime. So that's what, in my mind, it would look like. That's what I see happening.
And how do we walk that path without it looking like a militarized state?
I've witnessed it up in Washington, D.C., and it really didn't feel like that. There's this little corner market that I go to in my neighborhood, and there were 5 women and men from the National Guard picking up snacks there, and we had a friendly conversation. And, it didn't feel like there was this overcrowding of law enforcement. They were welcome, and they were kind and contributing to our economy by buying their snacks. It was a great thing to witness.
We got Congresswoman Julia Letlow on with us. I'm keeping one eye on the clock, Congresswoman, because today is October 1st, and I don't want to run out of time without mentioning that you actually made a recent visit to Women's Hospital talking about raising awareness for breast cancer screenings. Since it is October 1, and since I am in a pink shirt, tell me a little bit about the importance level of this for you.
Oh, that was the highlight of my district work week, Brian, was stopping by the Women's Hospital in Baton Rouge. Women's Hospital is such a jewel for Baton Rouge, and the life-saving work they do there by having programs just like that we were there to advocate for, that I was actually able to help plus up in the appropriations bill, was that early screening for breast cancer and ovarian cancers and cervical. It's so important that our women have access to that kind of care. My mom is a triple negative breast cancer survivor, and watching her go through that was one of the hardest things I've ever witnessed. And making sure that she had adequate care, she had to go to MD Anderson from North Louisiana in order to receive what I would call adequate care. That needs to stop. We need to have that kind of level care in Louisiana. We have that at Women's Hospital, and so it's an honor to be able to support any initiative that they have going.
Yeah, the medical advancements have been just through the roof, and the only thing that needs to keep up is everything's about early detection. So there literally cannot be enough awareness.
Absolutely, and what they do for our rural communities, Brian, I was able to tour one of the mobile healthcare units where they provide those screenings. They provide mammograms, pap smears, anything that a woman in a rural community might need if she doesn't have transportation to make it into her doctor's office. They're going to meet the patients where they are, and what an incredible ministry they have going on there. So I couldn't be happier to support it.
Absolutely, same here. And look, I've got my pink on today. Not enough to be disguised in your hospitality suite at Washington Mardi Gras, but I am wearing pink. So
you can wear that pink anywhere you want, Brian. I'm sure of it.
She is Congresswoman Julia Letlow. We always appreciate the time.
Thank you.
Thank you. We got Your Money Now coming your way right now. We'll check traffic one more time. We will come back and close that out next right here on Talk 107.3. I don't like any of these stories for our last segment. I don't like any of it. $8:56 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. We'll get you to Moon Griffin coming up in about 4 minutes from right now. Do need to remind you about the folks over at Neurojust, Neurojust, neurojust.com. If you or someone you love is battling with anxiety and depression, then you know what it's like to have that constant, and I do mean constant, fight or flight battle going on in your mind. It's exhausting. It's what turns anxiety into depression. It's just the sheer defeatedness of it. If you've sat down for therapy, tried to talk it out with a therapist, that doesn't really take, or you've been given a prescription and you're noticing side effects or diminishing returns, or it just doesn't work for you, give Neurojust a look. They specialize in transcranial magnetic stimulation, using magnetic pulses to stimulate areas of the brain involved in mood regulation. Essentially, what they do is they use the TMS therapy to calm the seas in your mind. It is FDA approved. There are no side effects. There are returns as well. Response rates of 70 to 80%, remission rates 60 to 70%. Unbelievable work being done over at Neurojust. They're over on Bluebonnet, but I'd like to send you to the website first, neurojust.com. I'm looking at the clock here. I don't think we're going to have enough time to dive into another topic, but I do want to look forward to tomorrow. Of course, we'll have Crime Stoppers. Of course, Haggai will be in tomorrow as well. But as I'm mapping out what tomorrow's schedule is going to look like, I think we're going to go heavy on the National Guard thing, with the possibility of the National Guard coming to New Orleans, Baton Rouge, and Shreveport. There's a whole lot I want to unpack here. Like, what are the definitive goals of sending the National Guard to Baton Rouge? Reduce crime. Okay, but what does that mean, and what does it look like when the boots are on the ground? They don't have the power to arrest, so they're here to complement, they're here to support BRPD. Okay, but like how? That's once I think everything gets spelled out, I think we can all breathe a little easier about what's really in store. You know, Congresswoman Letlow had a little bit of it, talking about how things played out in D.C. Didn't look like a militarized state. And by the way, they're out of there now. They've come in, they've done their mission. But I want to talk about the National Guard and what it would look like, because I think it would look different in New Orleans than it would here. Like in New Orleans, protect the French Quarter at all costs, right? In New Orleans, you can have more of a militarized presence because you want them to be a out front deterrent. Here in Baton Rouge, it's different. We don't have a Canal Street here in Baton Rouge. It would be different. You don't want to have, military presence where there's not the overwhelming, droves of people. And who the hell knows what Shreveport would look like? So, I don't know. We're going to take a deep dive into it tomorrow. I'm going to line up as many guests as I can on just this one topic. In the meanwhile, of course, the government shutdown will continue. Right now, we are all done for the day. Moon Griffin is coming up next. After Moon, we got Brian Kilmeade, so completely dialed in on the governmental shutdown and where it heads next. That's all coming your way for the rest of the day right here on Talk 107.3. All right, guys, I got to bounce because I got a super busy Wednesday. For those going to Rotary, we'll see you there.